Dean Legge and Matt DeBerry, another edition of Riding Home, and Matt spent a very turbulent and difficult, not great off season. One thing that Kirby said um, at media days, though, when he was asked about culture, which I think is code word for why is everybody getting in trouble. Kirby's response was, "I'm very confident about our team and our culture." We just talked about a video about how much it's evident that these Georgia players work hard. You were talking with somebody behind the scenes about that. That went to see a lot of different programs. Confident about their team and the culture. Do you think that he means going into 2023? Do you think that he means, um, you know, what do you think he means exactly by that comment?
Well, I think they have a culture that he likes. It is a winning culture. He always talks about connection and how close the team is. Everyone knows each other, knows their why they're playing, why they work hard and practice hard. So, from that standpoint, and you can see when you win championships, you can't have a team that's full of guys who don't like each other, right? It has to be a close knit group and guys that'll go to war with each other. So I know there's been, some guys, get in trouble, whatever. We know what's happened this offseason, right? We don't have to dig into it. But at the same time, he sees a team that is close and is connected and has played really well together, went undefeated last year. And I think it's also a shout out. Listen, they're always recruiting, right? So this is a shout out to all the parents out there. If these 5-star kids are recruiting, hey, everything's good. We have a winning culture. Things, aren't as what you may be reading online everywhere. We've got it under control. Things are good. And it was interesting to hear Cedric Van Pran speak up and say, hey, some of the leaders got in front of the team and said, hey, we're trying to win a third straight title. We can't keep getting in trouble. Um, and we can't let this roll into fall practice, into the season. It has to stop. And yes, you admit your mistakes, but you move on, but you don't make those mistakes again. And that's what he was telling the team. So I think it's a good sign that these leaders are stepping up because you always have to have leadership, right? And Cedric Van Pran is absolutely one of those guys. Kamari Lassiter, they've got one thing on their mind, and that's getting better and preparing to win a third straight title and make history. And they can't do that if these little off the field concerns keep popping up. And we'll see. It seems like they're locked in. From everything we heard from Kirby, who I thought was in a really good mood during SEC media days. He usually is in front of the national media.
Mhm.
Isn't always like that in front of the Georgia beat, by themselves. But I thought he was in a good mood, and he seems locked in. The leaders seem locked in, and I think they're ready to get back to fall practice and prepare for another what I think could be a special season, Dean.
Hey, make sure you're taking advantage of our coverage of that special season. Do you like this Christmas in July ugly
I love it.
sweatshirt? I mean, ugly is in the
Yeah.
eye of the beholder. But look, Matt, and everyone watching, we've got a great offer for everybody. Listen, if you want to subscribe to Dog Post, here's what we're going to do. You're going to get 1 month. You sign up for a 1 month deal. The link is right down below. You're going to get our 2023 preview included for free. In addition, we're not done there. Red Zone is going to give you 20% off any item. That means if you like this ugly sweatshirt, ugly. I mean, I'm not calling it that, Matt. They're
Yeah.
saying that. I think they're saying that. You know what? I'm calling it that. Um, you can get this. They will send you a code for 20% off any item in their store. And on top of that, they will send you a Red Zone t shirt for free. You get all of those things for signing up for what you'd be signing up for anyway, which is coverage of the dogs. Okay. If in addition now, don't hang up on me yet. If you've bought a 2023 magazine, if you've bought Double Dogs, we're going to give you September free, and you're going to get the other stuff too. Don't get me wrong, but you need to sign up today. When we run out of the magazines, it's kind of hard to give everybody the same thing. So take advantage of that now. The link is right down below. I do want to say this, Matt, as it relates to everything that we just talked about. Because before you mentioned Cedric Van Pran, I thought about Cedric Van Pran. The criticism from me in all of this is, if you like I'm very confident about our team and our culture. Kirby is defending his program, and I understand that. It's far be it for me to be the judge of what is a good culture and what is not. I do think that the more Cedric Van Prans you have on your team, the better. there's no reasonable explanation for the amount of speeding that's going on in Georgia. It's not okay. Um, and that is very dangerous, not just to the people in the community, but let's just be selfish here. You know, when you're doing that, you are putting yourself at risk, not just for your future, but for your immediate, for the immediate moment. You are more likely to injure yourself and not be available to play. So, just in that selfish part of it all, for the program, it's just not acceptable. It has been out of control, and it's not okay. And Kirby or someone has got to get a hold of that, and we're going to see as time goes on, because anytime that anyone gets a ticket that's a significant ticket, it's going to be reported, and this thing is going to continue to be in the atmosphere. So, you know, I don't know. In terms of on the field, I don't know who has a better culture on the field. But I will say that if you can be disciplined on the field, which is very difficult, you can be disciplined off it. What When is the last time you remember Georgia being out, like out penalized? I guess you could say. What I mean is, yeah, exactly. I mean,
Yeah.
false starts, personal fouls, multiple personal fouls, stuff like that. Can you recall? I mean, I'm sure I can break open the Georgia database that I keep. They very typically they are not the more penalized team when they play, which is discipline in many ways.
I think at 13 they had a lot of guys banged up as the season
2013.
2013,
Oh,
if I remember correctly. So, I mean,
yeah,
I'm going 10 years ago though. I mean,
yeah.
that's before Kirby got there. I guess Kirby's first year, when he even said we don't have a ton of championship level players on the
See,
roster right
I
now.
mean, he was
Like,
so he was so. I went back and watched his opening. Sometimes what happens for me is I'm trying to do something and I fall down a rabbit hole, and
yeah,
I was watching him during his introductory press conference, and he knew they were not where they needed to be, and he said
yeah.
it. He didn't say it in a bad way, Matt, but he said it, and he knew. I mean, how obvious was it to you that they didn't need to, they were not where they needed to be, and how long did it take in your mind, since you're so close to the ground, really? How long did it take until was it getting people like Andrew Thomas, etc.?
Yeah, it was finalizing that 2016 class and then moving on to an excellent 2017 class.
Yeah.
But he knew he had a handful of guys. He had Nick and Sony, and he had Roquan, and he had little pieces. But as far as depth, the team was not deep at all, and it was full of guys who would not be recruited to play at Georgia
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
He knew that, and so the cupboard was not bare, but it wasn't full at all. And
No.
he really turned it around and really did it in one season. I mean, they went from that 2016 season where they're getting blown out by Ole Miss, losing to Tech, losing to Vandy, and they won the SEC the year after. And a lot of that, yes, Roquan was there, and Lorenzo Carter, and Davin Bellamy, and Sony and Nick. I mean, and those guys were huge. Obviously, Isaiah Wynn, but
Yeah.
that 2017 group and a lot of guys in 2016 too. Mecole Hardman, obviously, Tyler Clark, that people have obviously forgotten about. I mean, there were a lot of great players in that group, but 2017 on really pushed this team forward.
Yeah, it was a 17 class, which was
Yeah.
from you said from, right?
I say it now. He was obviously a big piece, better than Bailey Hockman, who they had committed in
Well,
that class.
here's a just another jab at Brian Schottenheimer. Not that you would have, not that anyone really would have had the foresight to see this, but they selected Bailey Hockman over Jake Fromm, Stetson Bennett. Who's the kid that played at Stanford and is now in the NFL? Davis
Davis
Mills.
Mills.
Um, Bailey Hockman was not going to get you a national championship.
He was
Um,
a good high school quarterback.
he played at 3 colleges.
Yeah,
So
that was about it.
it's not me running him down. It's just what it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
They did not have cohesiveness. I think the biggest thing that Kirby did when he came in was he took what was a fractured organization and moved it to where everybody was pointing the same way. That was sort of step one. But that took a long time. I mean, that took,
Yeah.
well, I don't know how long it took, but it seemed
You
like
want to
it.
talk about culture?
Go
They
ahead.
did not have a winning culture in
No,
2014 or 15.
15.
That winning culture started with Kirby, and it's not going anywhere. That's what I wrote earlier. Like, yeah, but they're going to keep this up, and they're not going anywhere for a long time, especially the way they're recruiting right now.
2015. I am the world's expert on the 2015 season that did not get paid by the University of Georgia, and that was as destructive a season as any program or athletic department could possibly have want. The Brian Schottenheimer may have been an idiot, but he was not a destructive force like Jeremy
Jeremy
Pruitt.
Pruitt.
You had
Yeah.
both of those in one place, and I saw Mark Richt on the ACC Network last night. I always like seeing Mark. He let it get away. He knows that. He's not some fool.
Yeah.
It doesn't take away from all he accomplished at Georgia, but it does set up the contrast between what happened at the start of Kirby and what happened at the end of Mark. I was going to end the video. I wanted to say this just real quick. Chad Simmons and I were walking with Isaac Nauta. Now, if you don't know who Chad Simmons is, God bless you, right, Chad? I mean, come on. But we were walking with Isaac Nauta at Kirby's first recruiting camp. We don't get to see these anymore, so this was special
Yeah.
time.
That was special. Yeah.
And someone had written that there was a like a I don't remember, it was they were saying there was like a respect problem or something like that. And it was the three of us, and Chad was talking to Isaac because he knew him from recruiting, and he said, "Well, what do you think about what was written?" And Isaac just like stopped and said, "That's not a problem here." Like I think that the notion was something about how maybe the new staff was not being either taken seriously or respected or something like that. I need to go back and read it. But Isaac just said, no, that's not what's going on. And if I don't think I know that was not the case in 15. People did not take Brian Schottenheimer seriously in any way. And Jeremy Pruitt was not taken seriously by anybody inside the athletic department. I can tell you that right now. A lot of the football kids liked him, but they didn't. They
Yeah.
were unaware of how cancerous that Jeremy was. Anyway, I did want to get that anecdote in there.